Story 1. My son lost all of his friends because of me. I'll try to spare all the boring details, but basically, my son was having some issues and frustrations with another friend of his, was feeling a bit left out and unheard, etc. My husband and I encouraged him to be assertive and express these feelings towards his friend. A couple days later, my son made plans to go see a movie with this friend who ended up inviting another friend along, which my son was a bit bothered by considering he wanted to have a more personal conversation with him. Long story short, when he told his friend this, his friend's mother swooped in and texted my son from her son's phone and told him that he didn't have a right to dictate who was invited and he was not aware he was upset with his other friend, even though it was my son who had set the whole thing up and he wasn't upset with his other friend at all. As I mentioned, he just wanted to have a personal conversation, so there was obvious tension even before they met up. But my son was insistent that he still wanted to try, so my husband dropped him off and came back home. Not even 2 minutes after he walked in the door, he got a call from my son who was in tears. Apparently, when he had pulled his friend aside to try to have a one-on-one conversation, his mother swooped in once again and scolded my son, telling him that he didn't do anything wrong and he just wanted to make him feel bad. I was stunned. My son has always been more on the sensitive side, but I felt like he was pretty justified in being freaked out. This time, my husband and I both hopped in the car and headed back to the movie theater. When we arrived, while my husband took our son for a walk to try and calm him down, I walked in and completely laid into his friend's mother about how appalling and inappropriate I thought her actions were, how she was a grown-ass adult going after a 15-year-old child over something that likely would have been a very small conflict that should have been resolved amongst the friends. And to tell the other friend that my son was upset with him was something I also felt was inappropriate considering my son had no issue with him at all. His friend's mother thought I was completely out of line and completely forbid her son from ever speaking to or hanging out with my son ever again because of the inappropriate scene I had caused in public. His friend abided by this and started giving him the silent treatment and turning all of his other friends against him. They even started spreading nasty rumors and sending other kids after him to do mean things like pour water on him, swipe things off his desk, etc. He came home in tears on multiple occasions, and for a long while, my son didn't have anyone to hang out with and became pretty depressed. I just feel so awful. I never meant to get so heated. I thought I was doing the right thing by defending my son. I've apologized to him on countless occasions, and he's never been angry or held any grudge against me for it. Just always responded with something along the lines of, "It's okay, Mom. I know you were just trying to protect me." Ugh, my heart. He's such a great kid, and didn't deserve this. He's doing much better now, but I still feel horrible. Story 2. The kid I babysit just died. I've been babysitting for a family for about half a year now. Their 1-year-old son and 5-year-old daughter. They texted me early this morning, letting me know the 5-year-old passed away unexpectedly and they'd be discontinuing our regular schedule until further notice. I almost feel like I'm not close enough to them to have the right to grieve, but I've been crying all day, I'm unable to eat, and I'm just depressed. Last time I saw her, she sassily told me she was just starting to like me, and we joked back and forth about how she didn't like me before. She was always so sassy, so fun, so imaginative. She really did have the most incredible imagination, and I will carry that on with me for the rest of my life. That last day I was with her, we were hunting through her yard to find dinosaur teeth because she was convinced dinosaurs lived there. She was a dinosaur rescuer, and they were hiding away because humans had been mean to them before, and they were scared, but they needed her help. She said their nests were always under the shade of the trees, so we were looking under every tree for a wounded dinosaur to help feel better. Today, after I got the news, I went and sat under a shaded tree and just cried for hours. It's unfair. She was so young, so innocent, and her family was so generous. They always ensured I was well-fed and felt included as a part of the family. I just feel sick. I don't expect that family will ever have me back, and that's okay. I don't know if I ever want to babysit again. My heart is hurting so badly. It's not fair. Story 3. I fixed my neighbor's sink. 2 months later, he left me his house. I've lived in the same apartment for almost 10 years. Quiet place, mostly retirees. One of them was a grumpy old guy who never smiled and always wore socks with sandals. 2 months ago, I heard banging and cursing through the wall. I knocked and found him standing in a puddle with a wrench in one hand and a YouTube tutorial paused on his iPad. The kitchen sink was spraying water like a busted fire hydrant. I'm no plumber, but I offered to help. It took me an hour, 2 towels, and one trip to Home Depot. When I finished, he just grunted and said, "Huh, thanks." After that, I started checking in, bringing his mail up, picking up his meds, talking baseball in the hallway. He never said much, but he'd nod a little longer each time. 2 weeks ago, he passed away. Massive heart attack. I figured that was that. Yesterday, a lawyer called me. Turns out he left me his condo in his will. Paid off. Furniture included. Apparently, I was the only person who bothered to give a damn. I still don't know what to do with it. I never expected anything like this, but I guess sometimes kindness boomerangs in the weirdest, wildest ways. Anyway, be nice to your neighbors. You never know who's watching or what they'll leave behind. Story 4, I gave birth alone. My husband missed it on purpose. We had one rule. If I went into labor early, he'd leave work immediately and come to the hospital. I went into labor at 35 weeks. Texted, called, begged, nothing. He showed up 6 hours after our daughter was born. No apology. No panic. Just a shrug and a, my boss needed me to finish the shift. I gave birth with a nurse holding my hand. I watched other women scream through contractions with their partners comforting them. I watched a man sob when he saw his son for the first time. And I sat there with an empty chair. I'm trying to forgive him. I want to believe it was a mistake, but the silence when I needed him most is louder than anything I've ever heard. I don't think I'll ever unhear it. Story 5. Humiliated at TSA for having gynecomastia. So I went through TSA and the scanner flagged my chest. I have gynecomastia, and yeah, I knew this might happen, but it still messed me up. One of the officers pulled me aside and told me they needed to pat down my chest. Then he said I'd need to take my shirt off for it. I asked if we could go to a private room, and they told me it was currently occupied. No apology, no offer to wait. Just, it's not available. Like, that was the end of the conversation. And then, right there in front of people, one of them looked at me and straight up asked, "Are you male or female?" Just like that. Loud. No tact, no sensitivity. Like I was some puzzle they needed to figure out. Not a person standing there already uncomfortable. No one should be treated like this just because their body doesn't look how someone expects it to. I'm still shaking thinking about it. And the worst part is, I know I'm not the only one this happens to. Story 6. I caught my mom reading my teenage daughter's diary. Again. My daughter is 15, sensitive, smart, and introverted. She journals almost every night. It's her way of processing the world. She trusts me to respect her space. I always have. My mother, on the other hand, we live with her temporarily. Financial reasons. My mom is helpful in some ways, but she's always been nosy. I've caught her reading my daughter's diary before. I told her firmly to stop, that it was a boundary, that it was not okay. She cried, made herself the victim, and promised never again. Last week I came home early from work and saw her on the couch reading it. No shame, no apology, just said, "You should see the things she writes. She's depressed. She needs help." I told her to stop. She said, "I'm her grandmother. I have a right to know what's going on." No, she doesn't. She broke my child's trust. My daughter hasn't written in it since. She told me quietly that she feels violated, that she doesn't even want to stay in the house anymore. We're moving next month. I told my mom she lost the right to be alone with my child ever again, and I meant it. Story 7. My aunt is pretending my trip was hers, and it's honestly heartbreaking. A little while ago, I went on a trip to England, where I spent a week in London and the rest of the days in different small towns. It was my first international trip, something that moved me deeply, something I had saved up for, worked hard and planned over months with so much excitement. For me, it was a truly special, very emotional trip because I visited places I had always dreamed of and lived very intimate moments that I now hold close to my heart. Since I'm close to my family and pretty much everyone shares stuff when they travel, I was sending photos and videos to our family chat group throughout the trip. Everything was fine until I started noticing something weird after I got back. One of my aunts, the typical one who's basically the Karen of the family, started uploading several of my videos and pictures to her social media, but not like, "Look at this lovely trip my niece had." She literally posts them as if she went. She adds captions to her reels and TikTok like, "This is what I work for. Me after blowing $6,000 on a trip." With background music like trap or those flashy songs that scream, "Look how rich I am." And the worst part? She puts those titles on videos like one of me walking up the stairs at Tower Bridge, or clips of cafes, views, and iconic places I filmed. She even changed her social media profile picture multiple times to photos I took of places like Big Ben, Notting Hill, etc. At first I laughed a lot, but then it started feeling weird, like she was stealing a piece of my experience, stripping it of the emotional value it had for me and turning it into some superficial flex trip, something I lived with all my heart. And now she's wrapping it up in flashy music and money quotes, as if she were some rich sugar mommy jetting around the world, even posting pictures of my plane tickets, the leftover pounds I brought back from the trip, or old videos of herself in airports with her passport, luggage, or planes from past trips. What makes it worse is that now she's even telling other relatives or people at her job that she went in December and is just now posting the photos and videos. She's even trying to invent a whole fake storyline for her trip. It already seemed suspicious to me last November when my mother-in-law traveled to London and sent me a beautiful photo of Big Ben, which I shared in the family group. My aunt took that photo and used it as her profile picture till now. But now that I actually went, it's like I gave her all the content she needed to fully feed her fantasy. I honestly don't know whether to laugh, cry, confront her, send her to a psychiatrist, or just ignore her and rant on Reddit. It makes me feel so uncomfortable, like she's invalidating something that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. Has anyone else gone through something like this with a family member? Am I overreacting, or did she really cross a line?